For the folks of Washington, Missouri, spotting Dean Bittick cruising around town in one of his vintage roadsters or pickup truck is a sure sign that spring has arrived. And when Dean isn't riding around in his antique automobiles throughout the summer, he's restoring them in this large, climate-controlled shop next to his house. But as the leaves start to fall and winter approaches, Dean shifts gears to enjoy his other pride and joy, this impressive 11 by 21-foot model railroad. Entering Dean's model train room is like stepping into another world, thanks to the hand-painted mural which perfectly matches the colors and hues of Dean's Lionel O-gauge layout. Painted by a local artist, the mural features hot air balloons drifting in the background. Although Dean had been building layouts since he was a boy, there were two major influences on this particular layout.
I saw the first issue of Classic Toy Trains, and it had Dick Kuhn on the front of it, and he was the CEO for Lionel Trains. And I also read in that article that he liked antique cars, of which I do too. It so happens that the Model A National was being held in Dearborn, and I wrote him a letter stating that I was going to be riding in a Model A and would like to tour the Lionel plant. So I wrote him a letter. Unbelievable, he answered that letter and invited me to come see Car Rail. So when I went in there, here I see all the cars, and then I also see all the trains, thinking someday I was going to build a building that would allow me to do those kinds of things. I saw the 1949 showroom layout, a neat drawing about that. So I thought I will try and duplicate the 1949 showroom layout.
There are some key differences between Dean's current layout and Lionel's showroom display. Even at 16 by 32 feet, Dean had to scale down a bit to fit his space. And you'd certainly never see one of these in a Lionel showroom. Yes, it's an American flyer up in those mountains. Dean had two reasons for putting it there.
Something called forced perspective, and that is as higher you go up, the smaller things get. So American Flyer being S-gauge is a smaller scale, so it makes you think you're looking further away. The other is, my cousin and I argued continuously for the past 50 years which was better, American Flyer or Lionel. Santa brought him an American Flyer, Santa brought me a Lionel, so we argue about that all the time, so I had to put an American Flyer in this layout for my cousin.
And just to prove that he still believes Lionel was the victor, Dean crowned the center of his layout with an exact replica from the Lionel showroom, the JLC Manufacturing Company. This stainless steel bridge is another feature that differs from the Lionel showroom.
I needed a certain length bridge for this layout. It went over the log loader in the back. And I met a gentleman who was a welder by trade, very talented, Jim Ballman. And he made this bridge for this layout. When I saw how neat it was, I thought, have you ever thought about selling these to other railroad enthusiasts? I said no. So that was kind of the beginning of a company called Stainless Unlimited. So we make a variety of different bridges now. We advertise in Classic Toy Trains, O-gauge railroading. We also advertise in Garden Railways. And also, we have a website, www.stainlessunlimited.com. So that's mostly where our business comes from, is through the mail order.
Dean has managed to bring his love for Lionel Trains into his day job as a professor of business and marketing at East Central College in Missouri.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good.
Is your day good?
Yeah. Can't complain.
Good, good. Got a big weekend planned?
I wish.
Hopefully. I use the history of Lionel in a marketing class basically because of the evolution of the train market and the evolution of our population. No doubt the baby boomers, the group to follow, still the largest segment of the population. And we're ever changing, and Lionel had to change. If you look at some of the early trains were standard gauge trains, and back in the late 30s like that, the homes were huge, you had plenty of room. Later on that changed, and you look into the 1950s and the 1960s, subdivisions grew, homes got smaller, thus the trains got smaller, and we get to O-gauge. Also, Our interests changed, and Lionel went through a period of lower sales. Space age was popular in the late 50s, early 60s. They made a space train, and you can see how they were basically trying to go after that segment of the population to change their interests. So ever changing as we are today.
Although he's retired now, Dean still teaches part-time, and he still loves to share his admiration for Lionel model trains and antique cars with the next generation of collectors.
Preserving history is important to me. That's why I run post-war mostly on here. That's why I restore cars back to their original condition, that we can kind of take a little step back in history and see what Lionel trains and antique cars were all about.